It's time for HawgSports Live from HawgSports.com, a division of 24/7 Sports, presented by Crain Automotive. The Crain Team's got 'em. Visit them online at crainteam.com. And now with the latest breaking updates on HawgSports, here's Trey Biddy.
What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Well, we've got the first overlap of 2026 for Razorback athletics as far as the major sports go. Coming up this weekend, Arkansas basketball playing Auburn, a big game for the Hogs, and then, of course, the baseball team going to Arlington. We're going to bring the whole crew in this time. We're going to bring in Danny West to talk some recruiting and discuss a little baseball along with Kevin Bohannon. We'll have both those guys on at the same time, and Connor Goodson to help us with the latest with Razorback basketball. And we're going to talk a little bit about football as we always do. All that and more on today's show, Hog Sports Live. The Crain Automotive Team has 16 locations across our state and is home to the Crain commitment. You'll find Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen, and access to thousands of pre-owned vehicles. Vehicles for every lifestyle and every budget. Even if you're not in the market for a vehicle, the Crain Team Service Centers offer the latest in vehicle diagnostic technology and certified technicians to take care of your vehicle and get you back on the road. Check them out at crainteam.com. Hog Sports Live is driven by the Crain Automotive Team. Woo!
You've done it. Now you're the Crain Cash champ. You just won big with the Crain Team. Go ahead, soak it up. How could you not feel like a winner? You dominated with our low price guarantee, and you got way more for your trade. Plus, with statewide delivery on thousands of vehicles from 16 locations, and the fact that we'll beat any other dealer's price, we make our Kansans feel like champions every day. That's winning. That's the Crain Team. Visit crainteam.com.
That's winning. That's the Crain Team. Over 5,000 vehicles available statewide, and you can shop them all at crainteam.com. So Arkansas basketball with a big one against Auburn. Razorbacks have won 5 of the last 6. Looking to make that 6 of the last 7. If they beat Auburn on Saturday in Bud Walton Arena, they'll have beaten Mississippi State consecutively, LSU, and then Auburn, and that's called a winning streak. So right now, let's play Coach Cal first. This is Coach Cal on Tuesday after the LSU game, so you have a little bit of time now. You remember Arkansas lost pretty handily to Auburn, but Auburn's lost 3 in a row. But here's a 1-minute clip, just a cut-up of the best from Coach Cal on Tuesday.
We played really good today. We were so bad defensively 2-3 weeks ago that some of the stuff is going back to the basics of how my teams have guarded in the past. Some of it is just get the ball, but that's made a difference in what we're doing. But maybe we get healthy now. Malik had to get 4 stitches, so he has till Saturday. At least he's got time. Hopefully he'll be all right. Our 2-point field goal percentage is almost 60%. That's making 40% of your threes, which would be top in the country. So then I say, well, if we're that good shooting 2s, why wouldn't we shoot mostly 2s? Well, that's not the way the game is. No. I've coached 5 and 6 guys before, and those teams become such good teams. Can't just go do dumb things. You can't grab people. If you're out there, you're not going to dance, take 7 bounces, and shoot. And the reason is, take the most shots.
Yeah. Arkansas baseball with the Shiners Children Shiners Children College Showdown. That's a mouthful. It's a little long for a title. Oklahoma State, this is from our friends at Flow College, Flow Sports. So just remember, they're going to try to get you to sign up for their discounted rate by signing up for a yearly subscription that's cheaper each month, but you just need the 1-month subscription. You just need them for 1 month. So don't make the mistake of signing up for a year and getting a bunch of stuff that you don't want, because Arkansas is not going to be on Flow College again. Okay? It's going to be all SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus, whatever you want to call it, SEC Network, maybe ESPN some. I'm just looking, it's just skimming through the schedules. Like, SEC Network Plus, pretty much exclusively. Yep. SEC Network and SEC Network Plus throughout the whole season. So As long as you have that ESPN account, you'll be able to watch all the games aside from this one. However, so you've got Oklahoma State. This is for 3 games on Flow College, by the way. You got Oklahoma State Friday, February 13th at 7 in Arlington. TCU, number 10 TCU, at 7 on Saturday, and Texas Tech at 2:30 on Sunday, February 15th. You've also got the Maggie Bank College Baseball Series against Tarleton State. That's at 2 o'clock on Monday, February 16th. Right now, this is not listed. Sorry, I still got a little bit of residual from my sickness. Right now, this is not listed for television, okay, for the Tarleton State game. The first time Arkansas fans will be able to watch them in Fayetteville will be Friday, February 20th. There's a 3-game series, the 20th through the 22nd against Xavier, and then they play Arkansas State on February 24th on Tuesday. So that's what's coming up. Again, we're going to be talking to Kevin Bohannon here in a little bit. We'll talk to Danny West also. Here's Dave Van Horn, his latest press conference, another 1-minute cut up from Dave.
It'll be Gackle on Friday. Then we'll go with Dietz on Saturday and Fisher on Sunday. And you're probably talking about Gibbler not getting in there. Gibbler is going to be in there, and you guys have mentioned it. I mean, Fisher did it again for like the 4th weekend in a row, where all he does is get people out and throw strikes. And we just feel like that he deserves a shot. We're going to pitch a lot of people this weekend, especially when you throw in the Monday games. And we pretty much know the rotation that's coming at us. But I feel like Souza can hit lefties. I don't have a problem with that. Robinette can hit lefties. I don't know. Probably looking at going Souza lead off. We did infield work at the end of practice, and we probably had our best day of the year fielding the ball. We've got some good freshman arms in here, and they're going to get to pitch this year, and they deserve it. Helfrich, he's good, but yeah, I mean, left field still flip a coin, honestly, and lineup changes from opening day. Believe me, it's just a good way to start the season with a really good opponent.
All right, for some reason we're not streaming. It says we're live, but it didn't make a post on HawgSports on our Twitter account. So I'm making a new one. Weird. I don't know why it would do that, but it did. Yeah, so no post on Twitter. I was wondering why the count was a little bit low on our viewers. Okay. It's there now. All right, so what's next here? Marion Hobby is unfortunately not going to be the Arkansas defensive line coach. He has taken a position, or is expected to take a position, with the Indianapolis Colts. This was a guy that was a really big get for Arkansas, former player in the SEC at Tennessee, coach a lot of different places, was defensive coordinator at Clemson, was a defensive line coach at several different teams in the NFL, probably viewed as Arkansas's highest, biggest profile, I'll say, biggest profile addition on the coaching staff. So, when you hire guys like that, sometimes you lose them, and he's expected to take the job with the Indianapolis Colts. Was slated to make $700,000 this year with Arkansas. So Arkansas has 12 on-field assistant coaches. They'll be looking for a 13th, I guess, to replace him a little bit late in this whole thing. One of the things I've been talking about lately is Arkansas's continued drive for reform when it comes to athletics. And we've talked about Arkansas kind of poking its chest out that it's been the only, or one of only 20 or less than 20 programs around the country that's self-sustaining, which would be a reason for pride if you had a football team that was worth a damn, which Arkansas has not had. If you look at the past, really since 2012, it's been a disaster. We know that Hunter Yurachek and, excuse me, just got the sniffles still. We know that Hunter Yurachek and Charles Robinson, the chancellor, as part of the new $15 million resolution from the Arkansas Board of Trustees that was passed, there is a part of that they says they have to come up with a joint plan to inject $6 million into the athletic department from the university. Okay, some people aren't happy about this. It only passed 7-3. I think it's personally a good thing. The university, Arkansas pays the university probably like $12 million to cover scholarships. There's also $4.4 million that they pay them. They paid them this past year. It's roughly about $4 million a year. And now that's going to change. So they still pay for the scholarships. They don't have to pay the $4.4 million anymore. And on top of that, the university is going to be paying them $6 million. So no longer self-sustaining technically. I don't think that this is a big deal. I think it's an important thing that Arkansas needs to do when you consider, like, how rich some other athletic programs out there, like Texas, for example, which is basically, twice the revenue of what Arkansas is. I think an easy answer for this for the university is to implement a student athletics fee of about $200 for the year, $100 a semester. I don't think that's something that they're really going to notice too much. But if you look at the University of Arkansas 2025 athletic annual report, it outlines the revenue and expenses page on summary on page 3. Line 1, $63 million-ish for ticket sales. Line 2, 0 for direct state or other government support. The university gets, all of our tax dollars and stuff to support. None of that goes to the athletic department. Line 3, student fees, 0. Line 4, direct institutional support, 0. So line 4 is going to change. Should line 3 change? I don't think that, again, when you look at what a student has to pay, I don't think that they're going to really even notice $100 when you look at, the facilities fees and the student activity fee and the transit fee and the media fee and the new student experience fee. And there's a new student experience fee and a freshman experience fee, like all on there. Like, are you going to notice $100? 34,000 students at the University of Arkansas, $200 a pop is going to get you like $6.8 million to the athletic program. This is a athletic department that generated almost $196 million last year. The expenses were $184 million. So they did pocket some. But what you have to notice is this you were talking about, going from June 30th, July, like it's the fiscal year. Okay. So it's July 1st, 2025 or 2024 through June 30th, 2026, basically. 2025, sorry. Got my years mixed up. July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. So revenue sharing started July 1st this past year. So there's a 0 amount next to the revenue sharing. And we know that's $20.5 million. So that's when you throw that in there, then you're no longer in the black at Arkansas. You're not $11.8 million in the black, you're in the red. So without this $15 million resolution, Arkansas would be operating at a deficit next year. They had to have this. So no matter what anybody says, whether you're for it or against it, without this, Arkansas is in the red. Texas, as an example, Texas brought in $353 million last year. They had expenses of like $375 million. The reason for that is they only took in $12.1 million from the distribution of the SEC versus $71 million like the other teams aside from Oklahoma. Next year they'll get that $70 million, and they'll be operating easily. They'll make $30-something million if everything else stays the same. So $20.5 million to Texas ain't a big deal. For Arkansas, it is. Again, we're talking about twice the amount of money. So Arkansas needs some help. Other programs inside the state of Arkansas are doing this. Like, it's not just a novel idea for Arkansas. And again, we're talking about tuition being about $10 million for an in-state kid, $10 million. Holy shit. Holy crap. I almost said it. $10,000 and $12,000 for an in-state kid. So it's not going to be that big of a difference on their overall. I don't think parents are going to be outraged. And you also are talking about, this is important for your students' experience at the University of Arkansas. Like, kids go to college to have an experience that involves following a great athletics program. That's why Alabama, as we've mentioned, leads the country in national merit scholars at Alabama. It's not a high-ranking academic institution. Kids want to go there because they want to follow that football team, and basketball's been pretty good recently also, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't think that's that big a deal for Charles Robinson, who I hear doesn't want to do that, but I don't know. To me, it doesn't make sense not to do it. Arkansas State charges $23 per credit hour that goes to athletics. It's $690 per student. I mean, you're talking about injecting, I guess, projected $8.67 million for Arkansas State. UCA charges $21.50 per credit hour. $645 for 30 credit hour. ULR doesn't even have a football team and charges $23.50 per credit hour for undergraduates. It's $705 a year. Minnesota's doing it. They just implemented $200. South Carolina does it in addition to doing, the student ticket fees for $172. Georgia does it, $106 annually. Florida charges about $350 per credit hour. A lot of Louisville does it. Illinois does it. Iowa, UCLA. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's not some crazy idea for Arkansas to do. It makes a lot of sense. And again, we're talking about helping boost a football program that is 15th in the SEC in wins over the last 14 seasons, ahead of only Vanderbilt, which isn't far behind. And South Carolina ahead of Arkansas is kind of far ahead. So it makes all the sense in the world to me. As a taxpayer, I'm good with it. I'm good with the university putting $6 million into football and not getting $4.4 million from the athletic department. All right, let's bring in Connor Goodson now. Connor, if you're ready. Connor joins us on the Ozarks Go hotline. Ozarks Go, you can reach out to them at 479-684-4900 or go to ozarksgo.net/hog if you're looking for fast, reliable, consistent internet service at a great price. They're not going to jack your rate up from year 1 to year 2, and they're going to take care of you because it's a local company. So when you call them at 479-684-4900, you'll talk to somebody local. Tell them Trey Biddy sent you. Connor, how's it going?
Can't complain, man. Gearing up for this really big weekend for Arkansas basketball, for Arkansas all sports, I guess. Baseball as well, starting, but really big weekend for Arkansas basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this team dip a little bit here and there. It was obviously disappointing to see them play against, the way they performed against Kentucky, but they bounced back with some nice road wins. And, they played really well. I mean, beating Mississippi State by 20, beating LSU by 29, and then they're back home against Auburn, which Auburn handed it to them. What happened last time? I mean, was it just a product of back-to-back road games close together? What's your opinion?
I think so, and I think Auburn was also the more desperate teams. That's been a narrative with this Arkansas team all season. When they face a team that's really desperate, has their backs against the wall, they hadn't fared too well, especially earlier in conference play. And Auburn was that team. They took it to them. It was a hostile environment. Neville Arena's never been the easiest place to play. But also you look at Keyshawn Hall, who busted Arkansas for a 30-piece. It was personal for him. He even said so after the game, and he played like it was a personal game. He'd been recruited. He was actually recruited originally out of the portal by Eric Musselman. They passed on him then. Musselman goes to USC. All that happens. And then this last cycle, he was recruited by Arkansas again, and then they kind of moved on, chose to go a different direction, and he kind of had a chip on his shoulder because of it, and he played like it. He came out and went absolutely insane, 11 of 14 from the field, only missed one of his 5 threes, and had 30 points. And Arkansas just really didn't know how to respond to that energy and effort that Auburn came out of the gates with. So I hope that we see a different response from this Arkansas team to start on Saturday.
We've got 8 guaranteed games to watch Darius Akuff.
Yes.
Really, really 9. I mean, they're going to make the NCAA tournament. So, but you should be obligated as a Razorback fan to make sure that you watch all of these games. When you look at what this guy's done, he's led them in scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive games, and 10 of the last 11, he's led them in scoring. Assist almost every game. I mean, Like, this guy's just been ridiculous. He hasn't had to like be Superman these last couple of games. He's just been, Darius Akuff. But like when the game is on the line and you need a bucket from this guy, he has been there time after time after time. Like, I mean, in your opinion, how special is this guy? I mean, people talk about Joe Johnson and Corliss Williamson. What's your opinion?
I mean, this is, with my eyes, I never got to watch Corliss Williamson play. I don't think that I was too young to remember watching Joe Johnson play. So with my eyes, he's the most talented Arkansas player that I've watched. And I just think, I mean, you look at his run that he's had. He hasn't scored less than 17 points in a collegiate basketball game since November against Jackson State. That was the last time a freshman didn't go for more than 17 points. When you can rely on that production, it just makes things a little bit easier when you know you're going to be able to get that, and much less from a guy who was just 6 months removed from playing in high school, and his mentality is light years ahead of what you get with a lot of freshmen nowadays. Just the way he approaches the game. I think I mentioned it a show a couple weeks ago, but they had an extended break. They didn't practice one day. Darius Akuff was in the gym that next morning. He had to get somebody to come turn the lights on for him so he could go get shots up and get a workout in while everyone else kind of took the day off. It's just rare to get a talent like that. And yeah, he's not the perfect all around player, but when some of these draft experts just are leaving him, kind of out of the lottery, out of the top 15. Some of them are trying to push him out of the first round. It's just outrageous that you can discount what he's doing, because it's just so impressive. And I don't think that we'll see this kind of production from a guy like him in a very long time after he's gone.
I was talking with a buddy of mine. So he was in high school at Fort Smith, Southside, when I was at the University of Arkansas, and I went and watched Joe Johnson. This how different our age is, Connor. I went and watched Joe Johnson when he was in high school, and they played Southside. And my buddy was just talking about how their equipment manager like washed the whites and the blues together, or the reds or something. Like their jerseys are all, and they're like their socks are like you said, like they had knee high, blue white socks on, just terrible looking. And then I was at that game, like just got ran out of the building by Joe Johnson and that crew. That was a really good team back then. So,
well, where would you put AK? You obviously watched Joe Johnson. You were you were there for the Corliss years as well. You've watched him play in those teams. Where would you put Darius right now?
I mean, when you talk about, for my era, I'm 48, so my age group. So that's not going to include like the triplets and stuff like that. Right. I wasn't able to watch that, but when I think of the greats, I mean, obviously Joe Johnson, I think, is the most physically talented basketball player that's ever come through here at Arkansas, at least in my lifetime. Corliss Williamson, obviously you have to give him his props because of how dominant he was as a college player and, winning the national championship. You've got Lee Mayberry and Todd Day, Oliver Miller too. But, when you talk about point guards, I think you have to talk Lee Mayberry, Corey Beck, and now Darius Akuff.
Yeah.
And depending on what they do in the postseason, because, Mayberry's got Final Four, Elite Eight, he was a first-round draft pick, all that stuff. He was a great player. Beck doesn't have the same numbers. He was just like, he controlled everything. Like he was tough. He was tough on defense, but he controlled everything. Akuff just seems to be, to me, Akuff's on a different level. It's now the question of like, can he take them, to that next level? But it's a different era too. Like, Lee Mayberry, their freshman year, they didn't go to the Final Four. They went as sophomores, And I was thinking, back then, it was like this group of sophomores went to the Final Four. It's so young. It's so, now you'll see, freshmen do lead teams to that. But
and there's a lot of basketball left to play, and I think that when how far Arkansas goes in March will help us frame Akuff's kind of legacy and where he fits in a lot better than it is right now. But all we can go off is the production that we're seeing right now, and so I think that it'll be a little easier after the season once the kind of things have cooled down a little bit, and we're talking about where he goes in the draft. When we see how far Arkansas gets in the NCAA tournament, it'll be a little bit easier to figure out where he kind of goes in that
basketball talent, though, Connor. I think we're talking about Sidney Moncrief, Joe Johnson, Darius Akuff. I really do.
Yeah.
Like as far as and there's been some great ones. Ronnie Brewer, Daniel Gafford, Bobby Portis. There's been several, Anthony Black. That have been really good. I just think that Akuff is going to be not only what he's been at Arkansas so far, and who knows where he takes him. But I just think his pro career, I think he has a chance to be really exceptional on that level also.
Yeah, for sure. And this isn't a discredit to those legends. It's just us just being enamored with how good Darius Akuff is. And he makes it look so easy too. There were some plays at LSU where it just looked like
oh my gosh,
he was going half speed. I mean, the layups where he's just, the kid's special. And so I don't want
the thing too, Connor. Like when this team's cooking, when they've got it going, it just looks like they're clowning. There's like the Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt's a good team, and they just looked like they were having the time of their lives. Everything was going in. Whatever.
Them playing rock paper scissors to see who shot the technical free throw. Just
the last game. Yeah,
you can tell they love playing with each other, and when they're rolling, there's arguably not a more fun team to watch in Arkansas's at least modern history than this team is when they're going.
All right, Connor. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks, Trey.
All right. Nice and quick, Connor Goodson. Be sure to follow all his coverage with Razorback basketball coming up, this weekend and beyond. We're down to the last, we don't have that many games left. I mean, when you think about what's ahead, you've got – another big game to watch this weekend. If you look at the SEC standings, you've got Florida at the top at 9-2, and then Arkansas and Kentucky are tied. Obviously, Kentucky has the tiebreaker over Arkansas at 8-3. But at 2:00, so not only do you have the Arkansas game, but at 2:00, you've got Kentucky and is that 2:00 Central? You might want to double check. I always tell our guys put Central Time, put it in parentheses that it's Central Time. Don't just assume that people know. But I think that's at 2:00. Between Kentucky and Florida, which I believe also, I think they play twice this year. Is that right? But Auburn coming off of 3 straight losses, Tennessee, Alabama, Vanderbilt. As we know, Arkansas went there and got hammered. 95-73, wasn't even close. Just did not play a very good game. Okay, we're going to go to Danny West now. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Walker Brothers. Walker Brothers brings you the finest men's clothing from around the world, carefully selected to last, fit right, and help you look your best. From game day essentials to distinguished luxury wear, from a meticulously fitted suit to the perfectly faded pair of jeans, every piece in their collection is hand-selected for enduring quality and iconic style. Experience that undeniable confidence that comes with perfecting your personal style. Visit them at 577 Millsap Road, Suite number 6 in Fayetteville, where they've been for a number of years, or their brand new location, 3503 South 55th Street, Suite 101 in Rogers. Walker Brothers, taking care of the men out there. Not everybody does that for us, but it's good to have them looking out for us. All right, Danny, how's it going? Appreciate you joining us on the Ozarks Go Hotline. Got a new setup over there. You're silent. We got no audio. So for those of you who haven't followed Danny, you can follow him at Danny West 24/7 on X. And read all of his content at HawgSports. He covers everything. Helps us with everything, but really our main guy when it comes to the transfer portal and recruiting, of course. How's it going, Danny?
I think I got you now, buddy. Sorry, I was muted.
You're good. You're good. So, Danny, you've been breaking out the big red board.
Yeah.
It's
that time of year, ain't it?
Yeah, it's that time of year. So, the first group, you've got quarterbacks. There's some really intriguing guys on there. Jerry Meyer, Israel Adams, Keegan Croucher, and Tim Anderson are a few of the ones that you mentioned here. Just give us a little bit of a taste of what's going on right now with the pursuit with quarterbacks. Obviously, a lot changes with Hank Hendricks having reclassified now.
Yeah, and that's why it's so early. It's almost too early to even try to whittle down some of these guys, Trey. It's I think there's a good chance that none of these guys that we just talked about will end up being the guy in the end. It's just a little bit delayed this year for a lot of reasons: new coaching staff, calendar changes, portal, of course, pushing everything back. So a little bit of a slow start on the high school front, I would say. But yeah, the quarterback spot, I wouldn't read too much into it, is what I'm telling you right now. We can get excited about some of these guys, but I think it could be a waste of time. I think, within maybe we'll call it a month, within a month, that whole board's going to look completely different based on scheduled visits, upcoming visits, and ultimately leading up to June to see who shows up official visit wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but I hate to skip over those guys that we just wrote about, but
everybody can go to HawgSports and read.
It's a little early at quarterback.
Read more about it. Might not be so early at running back, though. I mean, we know that there's some really good in-state talents, and Jeremiah Dent and out of Marion, Trey Stewart out of Little Rock Central, Micah Gamble out of Fordyce, the Red Bug, as well as some other several out-of-state guys. Dent was the guy that had the video of David Johnson, the running backs coach, getting stuck in his driveway, right?
Yeah.
During the contact period.
That's right. And you know what? I think I kind of hit on it today in the target of the day. That's another series, of course, that we come out with in February. But Jeremiah, we started off with Jeremiah as the target of the day, the first one out of the gates. And I think it's for good reason. He's filling the Hogs right now. Thinking back to last fall, maybe October, November, this is a kid that he talked about making a decision in late January. And, that's now come and went, but he did pick up a new offer from Arkansas in late January. And, you mentioned it there. Coach Johnson went and saw him the next day, I believe, and got stuck down there. But JD helped him out. Great kid. I think this is one that if he does choose Arkansas, he's going to be a fan favorite pretty quickly. It's if they keep him around, that's always that's what dictates, fan favorites nowadays. They don't stick around long enough. But if he does choose Arkansas and sticks around, people are going to love him. A great kid, smart kid, and really talented. We talked about him as a player this morning. This is a kid that Auburn's coming in and offering here late. And, here lately, I should say. It's not late at all. But, Auburn shouldn't have to go very far for a running back. So anytime a big program like that comes in, it's notable to me. But 6 foot, 200, can do a lot with him, split him out. As you know, Trey, most schools in Arkansas, you get a guy like this, you got to play him everywhere. And they do. And they get the most out of him. But number one in the state because Hank Hendricks reclassified. That helped him out. And I remember, at that time when Hank announced that news, Jeremiah actually gave him a shout out and said, "Hey, thanks. Now I'm number one in the States." Funny kid, man. He's awesome. And he had to be where we started, target of the day.
Danny, when did you start covering baseball?
Oh, man. I want to say the 2009 season.
2009.
That was a good year. That was a good year.
Is Zach Cox? Hey, K-Bo.
Hey, buddy.
You remember that crew, 2009?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who was the first baseman there? Big guy, first
Andy
base.
Wilkins.
There you go. Could launch. Yeah.
Kevin Bohannon joining us. You can follow Kevin at K-Bo Baseball Guru. Kevin is in his second year covering Razorback baseball for us and has been in the business for a while now. I wanted to have you guys both on together because everybody knows my baseball knowledge is limited. I'm limited to watching and be like, oh, that's a good pitch. That's a good hit.
He scored.
Yeah, he scored. He
like
scored a lot of points.
Basketball. Yeah, they can dribble. He can jump.
Look at the points. What's 9 points to 5 points? No, it's not that bad, but
No.
but anyway, wanted to have both you guys on because baseball season is starting, and I know both you guys are into it and stuff. Just want to kind of get your opinion on the series in Arlington coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be a big litmus test for where Arkansas is right now as a team. when you have to replace your entire outfield, retire weekend pitching staff, even though there is some experience there on both sides of the ball. I know that's a phrase that's used quite a bit in football, but I use it in baseball as well because there's offense and defense. So, yeah, having Gabe Gackle at the front of the rotation is huge because that's where he's been before. It's just a matter of going out there, competing with confidence. Same thing with Hunter Dietz. The third guy, Colin Fisher was a guy I had slotted in for 2 months now. And a lot of people were like, man, it's going to be Cole Gibbler. It's going to be Cole Gibbler. I like Gibbler in the back end better. You got a third-year guy in Fisher who has shown that he can go out there and do big things. If his signing bonus ask was a little lower, he would have never made it to Arkansas. There were a lot of teams that were in on him. Two-sport athlete, 6'3", 200 pounds, very smart guy. He was a quarterback in high school that threw for, I think, over 35 touchdowns and had a low interception rate. So you got guys like that on the mound, and you're throwing 2 lefties on a weekend. I like it. And TCU is going to be a good hand. And I think they're going to miss – Arkansas is going to miss Tommy Lepore, who's a first-team All-American. But they got Spencer Stroh-Snyder, who was one of the freshman All-Americans on the team last year, 10 home runs, over 40 RBIs, one of the top 10 players in the nation regardless of classification. So that Saturday matchup will be highly attended and highly anticipated.
Yeah, Danny, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, just overall, kind of a general thought. Kevin, he's our guy. He knows this roster in and out. But over the last week or so, I'm kind of curious to see how much more running they might do, how much more small ball. I think they picked up, and Kevin could talk about it. But it seems to me they added quite a bit of speed. Maybe it's not up and down the lineup as powerful as it was last year at times, especially with Alloy out and. You lose some pop there, but man, I think the overall speed, and then, kind of tying it back to the football portal a little bit, kind of the theme going into it or coming out of it this year has kind of been the value and upside type, where I think that baseball team's got a lot of that too, with Fisher, Cabo talked about him there, but some of those Dietz, Cole, we forget about some of those guys, but then the freshman group too, Peyton Lee, some of those types. Jared, Ale, Kevin, you're going to have to help me with that. Seems like it.
Yeah. Joey Lorenzini, big lefty.
Lorenzini, there you go. Man, I like quite a bit of that. And then the series itself, Trey, you talked about it. Man, I would tell people don't get too excited about it and don't get too low if they go down there. I mean, like Kevin talked about there, Oklahoma State's always big, can hit it a mile. Everybody over there looks like, well, I can't say that, but they're pretty jacked up over there. But
they are.
TCU always fast, and they can get after you. They did a couple years ago down there, and I think that was an 18-6 game, Kevin, if you remember. But okay. Well then, just in general, you'll see a lot of 2-1 over the last 4 years. You got to go back 5 years to see a 3-0, but nobody really remembers that. It's just a great way to start the year with competition. A lot of new guys, no pun intended, in center field, but and right field. That's going to be a targeted area this weekend. Yeah, of interest this weekend too. So I'm just excited about it, Biddy. I'm just generalizing here, but I'll let Cabo talk more of the specifics.
Well, Danny, you mentioned some freshmen, and I wanted to ask about Carson Brumball. Like, what do we think about the role that he's going to be in as a freshman?
Yeah, so I sent it to the group the other day. You're going to have 3 teams. 2 of Arkansas's opponents are going to be starting freshmen at shortstops, and Arkansas will be starting a true freshman at shortstop. That's the equivalent on the football field of having a freshman running back starting game 1, trotting it out there. It's not the quarterback, but when you look at the way a baseball team is constructed, you always want to be solid up the middle. So Arkansas's got Ryder Helfrich behind the plate, who's one of the top catchers, if not the top catcher in the nation. I think he's number 1. Carson Tenney from Texas is right there behind him. So those guys are 1A and 1B, depending on what national outlet you look at. And then you got Micah New in center field, who played shortstop last year at Marshall, hit 15 home runs, was MVP of the Cape League, and in my opinion was an all-star there. So you got experience on the mound with 3 third-year guys on the weekend rotation, plus experienced back end in the bullpen with freshmen, sophomores, juniors, even a fourth-year guy or two like Parker Coyle. So the other element is the shortstop, when you're looking at everything. And Dave Van Horn has been very blessed over the past 10 years. If you go back and look, when you had Jax Biggers, then you handed it over to Casey Martin. Then you had Jalen Hurts, and then, of course, Mr. Golden Spikes himself, Vahivo Lloyd last year. So where do you go? They went to the transfer portal, got TJ Pompey from Texas Tech, 6'4", 215, runs really well, has a lot of power. He's hit 17 home runs in 74 games over the course of, 2 years with Texas Tech. But, Carson Brumbaugh comes in, and he started at shortstop last year, and he was going to be a draft guy. He was going to be one that I had up there with kind of, into the second round, top of the third round, up there with Landon Schaefer in terms of, where he
Perfect Game had him the number 77 overall prospect.
Hey, that just shows you right there. Arkansas has done a good job of getting high-end prospects to campus. Think of Robert Moore. He was a top 25 guy. Caden Wallace, I think he ended at like 20 or 25, but he was up to number 5. Carson Wiggins got as high as number 3 or 4 on Perfect Game's national rankings at one time. So getting those guys to campus, I didn't think Brumbaugh would make it, so I really didn't pay attention. I remember him on his official visit. It was the BYU game. They lost 38-31. And talked to him at that time. He was there with Carson Wiggins and Mark Brissy, and just got to know him at that point. He was committed, and he committed to Tennessee shortly after that, and decommitted last year. And Arkansas got back in it, and I was like, man, this could be a really good get for Dave Van Horn out of Oklahoma as well. And the power is there. I've always known him as a power pitcher. He was 95, 96. The bat was there as a power, but I did not recognize the defensive prowess that he brings to the table. He's quick enough to play shortstop. He has the arm. He can make all the throws. Now, is he going to kick the ball? Absolutely. The shortstops are going to kick the ball. Why? Because they get the ball hit to him more than any other position on the field. Now, he just has to make the consistent plays, make the routine plays, and then flash some leather every now and then, and he'll be fine. Biggest thing he has to go out there and do is not play with any pressure on him. He's played on big stages before, so playing in front of 20,000 people, while it may be different, he's played that caliber of talent his whole career.
And Kevin, if it doesn't go well, does it kind of make you feel better knowing Souza, in time will be available to maybe? I mean, you can do different things with him. Third, short, I assume.
Yeah, you have the luxury of having some options there. Nolan Souza just started throwing at max effort just this past week or two. And that's one of the things that Coach Van Horn talked about on the press conference when he met with the media yesterday was the surgery was 5 weeks after the injury. That frustrated Coach Van Horn and the staff tremendously because in the short span of a college baseball season, that set him back 5 weeks in terms of his rehab and recovery. And when you tear a labrum or rotator cuff or anything like that, and you have your shoulder shredded, it takes a little bit to get back in it. So I'm under the, opinion, and so is Coach Van Horn. He's done it at the highest level. Look, if you're going to be able to go out there and make every throw in a game, you better be able to do it in practice. So he just started letting it go in long toss this past couple of weeks. So while the arm is probably 75, 80% of the way there, the rest of the body's catching up and having some options, after this weekend. The key is to get it set by conference play. So you got 4 weeks or 5 weeks before the March 13th and Mississippi State come to Fayetteville. That's when you want to have everything settled by then.
Colin Fisher, we're expecting him to start versus Texas Tech. What did he do to lock down that third spot in the rotation?
He threw strikes. That's the biggest thing. If you want to stay on the mound and be able to pitch high quality innings for Coach Hobbs and Coach Van Horn, you throw strikes. Fisher was an All-American, freshman All-American. Got a midweek starting role and got to do that some last year. The end of his freshman year, he went out with an injury. They decided to do the internal brace, I think is what he got. Didn't get the complete Tommy John reconstruction like Carson Wiggins did. So he got out there and was able to work back in the flow last year. When he showed up for preseason camp, all he did for 4 straight weeks was get outs. And that's the key thing right there. He's not going to overpower you like Gackle or Dietz, but he's got a good 3-pitch mix. He's going to work off the slider. Fastball is really good. It's got more movement. It's got more tight spin this year. So he's worked his way into that rotation. He deserves it. When you can get the Arkansas lineup out, Coach Van Horn feels confident that you can go out there about against anybody considering you're a top 10, top 5 team.
Dan, you got anything else for Cabo?
Left field, Kevin. I feel like we're making him do all the talking here, but left field, I could listen to this all day. I'm a fan of it, but
who isn't left?
I think I wanted to ask about Ruiz, Turner, Stewart. Is that more of a righty lefty situation where you go with one guy based on who's throwing against you, and where does that kind of leave Stewart if those guys are going back and forth until that left field spot's figured out?
Yeah, it's kind of, it seems to be a coin flip right now. And Coach Van Horn said that, look, they went and got Damian Ruiz from Lamar, who's the Southland hitter of the year last year. He hit 388. They got him to play. He hasn't played up to potential yet. And they kind of, marked it off to, okay, he comes in the fall and he's nervous, playing in a new spot, kind of getting acclimated. Mike Canoe didn't have that problem. TJ Pompey didn't really have that problem. Damian Ruiz has. He hasn't, performed up to the level that they expected him. And it's just about unlocking, whatever it takes to get that guy hitting again. So when you got a guy like Turner who comes from Houghton High School in Houghton, Louisiana, for all of our listeners, watchers out there, Houghton, Louisiana produced Peyton Stovall. And, both of them have really good left-handed swings. And Turner, fastest guy on the team as a freshman. He's 6'1", can put on some weight. He's about 175, 180 right now. He's just going to continue to get better. So starting out the season, it may, depending on if there's a lefty throwing, and it looks like TCU on Saturday is going to start a lefty. So you'll probably see Ruiz starting since he's a right-handed hitter. But Christian Turner is going to get some time out there. Also, what affects who plays out there in left field is how Kuhio Aloy adjusts to being an outfielder. If he wants to play at the next level, he has to learn to play outfield. Bottom line, college or professional baseball teams do not draft designated hitters. Look at Tommy White. Tommy Tanks from LSU from a couple of years ago learned to play third base. Even though he played first base at LSU, he had to learn how to play third base. So he's a corner infielder. Aloy needs to learn how to play every type of spin in that outfield. And right field is tough, especially at Arkansas, because you got the wind that can knock it down over into the power alley, and then you have that little gap right there where it can really take off on you. So getting to learn to judge every type of fly ball, every type of spin in right field. He was set back in the fall because he had an injury coming off the Cape after that home run derby. Then he had mono, then another nagging injury. So he's behind right now. There doesn't seem to be too much of a concern right now on the coaching staff, but if he can't get it done, there's other options out there. You mentioned Zach Stewart from Missouri State. Hit a home run against Arkansas last year off Will McIntyre, I believe, in that win at Fayetteville. So, Stewart right now is probably the fifth outfielder, and they'll adjust things the way they need to. And the DH role, that incorporates Nolan Sousa. So you've got a little bit more depth than what you've had in the past, infield and outfield. You got at least two extra guys you can put out there.
I think he's going to be fine.
Blakeman's Fine Jewelry is proud to be the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks. I would encourage you to visit them in person at their brand new store, 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway, Rogers, Arkansas, 72758. Did you know that you could also shop them online? And you can not only shop, but they offer delivery. You can book an appointment online also. Built on tradition since 1987, Blakeman's has been Northwest Arkansas's trusted destination for exceptional jewelry and personalized service. Again, visit them at their brand new location, 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway, Rogers, Arkansas, 72758. The official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Danny, anything else to add for Kevin?
No, man. Heck of a job. Always appreciate him. Looking forward to a great season, man. Should be a good one.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Kevin, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, and like Danny said at the beginning, don't get too high or too low about this. Dave Van Horn defines success as going out there and getting reps. Obviously, he would prefer that this series, this weekend, happened the second weekend like it did last year after they played Washington State that first weekend up in Fayetteville, and they got a 4-game series in. They're going to get 4 games in this week. I see them going 3-1. So that TCU's owned Arkansas lately, and I just think they'll have their number. be interesting to see what Hunter Dietz does. I'm really excited about seeing him throw live against some really good competition, see him gain that confidence and get up there to that, top 3 round draft pick and live up to that potential.
Well, I got you both on here. I want to ask you real quick, Danny.
Yeah.
Which position group do you think they did the best job with in the transfer portal? This is from Pigsburg Squealer.
Football?
Yeah.
Oh, interior D-line for sure.
Me too.
And now, I'm not saying they're just world beaters or all-American, all-SEC types, but I think they elevated the caliber enough for me, and they got enough of them that I think they put themselves in a much better situation relative to last year. Now, I'm not comparing it yet to around the league and all that, but in terms of improvement based on what we saw last year on paper and on the field, yeah, I'm on circle D tackle probably.
Kevin.
Yeah, I agree.
Ask you the same question. You can't say D tackle though.
No, I'm going to say linebacker. I like what they did with getting Kamori House. Some of the edge guys that they got, went to Kentucky, got a guy there. They got Waller from Auburn. I think that right there is, I put them neck and neck, but I put that linebacking crew compared to what they had last year. Look, everybody knows how I was about the play and the effort with the linebacking core, the starting linebacking core from last year. I think what they got with Wyatt Simmons and Bradley Shaw, bringing those guys in, that's going to take that linebacking core up to the next level in 2026.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate both of you hopping on and spend a little extra time talking baseball. As we know, it's getting going, and we'll be in conference play before you know it. You guys know how time flies these days.
Enjoyed it, buddy.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
everybody. All right, follow Danny West at Danny West 24/7 and Kevin Bohannon at Cabo Baseball Guru. Appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trey.
All right, we're going to move on to some questions, but first I want to talk real quick about Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. So Arkansas is 7.5, I think. Let me see. Okay, I got Bet Saracen pulled up. Arkansas is -7.5 against Auburn this weekend. Again, Auburn beat Arkansas like a drum last time they played, but Auburn has kind of gone one direction and Arkansas has gone the other since they last played. I personally think a lot of that had to do with playing that game against Ole Miss on Saturday and then a quick turnaround to play Auburn, both on the road on Tuesday. Plus, it's very early in SEC play at the time. But I like Arkansas. I like them to cover this. I think they're going to beat Auburn pretty soundly. And the over-under is 167.5. I might actually take the under on that. That's a fairly big number. So I'm going to take Arkansas at -7.5. And I'm going to take the under at 167.5. Bet Saracen is Arkansas's #1 sports betting app, and this is important to note. If you haven't signed up at Bet Saracen and you're interested, you can sign up, and if you use the link below and you use the promo code BIDDY250, capital B, lowercase IDDY 250, use that promo code, then you can get $250 back in bonuses to bet at Bet Saracen. Bet Saracen's Arkansas's #1 sports betting app.
Arkansas's Fab 5 for Bet Saracen.
Man, I love Bet Saracen's promo page.
Promos, man. Lots of options for profit boosts, bonus bets, and more.
Who you flirting with now, Pat?
Not flirting, working. Talking with my Bet Saracen host. She's putting together an event for VIPs.
You know any?
Come on, man, I'm the shooter.
And only Bet Saracen has hope.
Bet Saracen.
Only Bet Saracen has hope. All right. Next up, let's get to a few questions here, see if we got any interesting comments. A lot of excited Hog fans, a lot of people planning to be at the games. WooPig00 says, got to put Akuff in the likes of Anthony Black, Isaiah Joe, Anthony Black, those guys get mentioned. Scotty Thurman, yeah. BJ Young, BJ got worse the longer he was here. Eventually, BJ was shooting like one-handed three-pointers that were just like, they were so ugly. Like, what was he doing? And so flat. Like, I don't know what was happening, but they needed that Noah system for him. Man, his shot got so bad, but man, he could take you off the dribble. Johnny Jones 50560 says, I've never been to a football game where Arkansas won it. That's tough. I haven't been to an away football game since 2016. I've been to a lot of games. Lakers will draft him. We'll draft Akuff. Razor Pride says, quit going to the games, you're making them lose. You know, I kind of had that philosophy too. Like, I was like, going into this past season, I was like, Arkansas is going to win one of the games that I go to. I'm going to all the road games. I didn't go to Memphis because of the construction with the stadium still, but I went to every other game. I was like, they're going to win one of these. And nope. Plenty of opportunities. Couldn't get it done. Arkansas Basketball 1 says, Akuff is the best freshman we have ever had. Only other person close is Moses Scotty and Joe Johnson. Here's the thing with Joe. Joe wasn't even eligible until SEC play. He wasn't even eligible until January, his freshman year. He still got SEC Freshman of the Year. Arkansas Basketball 1 says, Trey, you forgot to mention Jordan Smith Jr. is committing tomorrow. I did. I had that in my notes. So Jordan Smith Jr., thank you for pointing that out. I meant to talk to Connor about it. Connor feels good about Arkansas's chances right now with Jordan Smith. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. I had that written down, and I forgot to bring it up to Connor, but I can tell you that he feels good about Arkansas's chances. The word obviously is Duke and Arkansas. There's Syracuse, Georgetown, obviously others involved with him. Most of the predictions that we see out there are 5 predictions. They all have Arkansas on the crystal ball right now. That's Connor Goodson. He is at an 8 out of 10 on his confidence level. John Watson from the Devil's Den, the Duke Insider, has Arkansas picked at a 7. Colby, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Giacubino, has Arkansas at a 6. Chad Likens from the Devil's Den has Arkansas at a 7. So when you see guys that cover other teams, you know, that Arkansas is in competition with, picking Arkansas, you know, that's definitely notable. 247 Sports staff projection, not sure what that is, has Arkansas at a 7. So a lot of momentum towards Arkansas. For those of you who aren't familiar exactly with Jordan Smith, 247 Sports, number 2 ranked prospect in the entire country, the number 3 on the 247 Sports composite. Combo guard, 6'2", 200 pounds, out of Paul VI Catholic in Fairfax, Virginia. This guy's a stud. Be a nice pickup, obviously. And kind of based on, you know, I know they wanted to get Nate Ament last year also, but, you know, when you think about, let's look at basketball recruiting, player rankings, the formula that they had last year, you know, bringing in Malik Thomas, Darius Akuff, Isaiah Seeley, bringing in 3 freshmen last year, and then bringing in, you know, a couple of foreign guys, who I guess are freshmen, and then, you know, hitting the portal for the rest of the guys, and then retaining guys on the roster. So, like, moving forward, they're not going to retain, you know, the same freshmen. I mean, Malik Thomas and Darius Akuff, I think obviously both of those guys, definitely Akuff. Thomas, pretty sure, also going pro, you know, after this season. So you're not going to be able to retain those guys like they were able to retain so many freshmen from last year's team. Everybody, I guess, except for B.J. Young, who transferred, which obviously that was a welcome transfer due to nothing against B.J., but just due to getting Darius Akuff in here. So after these 3 guys, if you get Jordan Smith, who is the number 2 ranked prospect in the country, you've got J.J. Andrews committed, who's the number 12 ranked prospect in the country. And then where is Tor? Abdu Tor is number 26 ranked prospect in the country. He is actually a composite 5-star also, but a 4-star on 247 Sports. So get those 3 guys in here and, you know, work, you know, the retention angle for some of the guys that are still on the team, and then really hit the transfer portal. And there's, you know, that's how you're going to end up building your roster moving forward. But appreciate you bringing that up, because I did have that sectioned off and I skipped over it and didn't come back to it. So appreciate that. Dwayne Nault 600 likes Danny's deer. Jalen Battles, not Hurts. Okay. Connor has put in a crystal ball for a JSJ. He did for Baba, even Duke recruits. Yeah, Connor put in one. I'm not sure. Let's see. He put it in. Does it say his date? Yeah, a couple days ago he put it in. 1 day ago, the 11th. Okay, let's get to some questions on HawgSports, the Razor's Edge premium forum. For those of you who aren't members of HawgSports, you go check it out. Check out the message board. Go Hogs fan says, Trey, we are recruiting at an elite level in men's basketball and in baseball. What is it going to take for us to be more competitive in football? Is it simply an increase in NIL or at least a reallocation of funds? An increase in NIL is what it's going to take. So I think Arkansas is probably around $25 million. I think based on what I hear, about $14.5 million of the revenue sharing money is going towards football. And then I would expect about $10.5 million in NIL to get them at about $25 million. While that's good enough to get you in, maybe the upper half of the SEC, it's not going to get you where Texas is and Texas A&M and some of those schools, like where, they may be operating with $40 million. Okay, so they're just at a different level. What Arkansas is able to do with a budget like that is they're able to get, Danny mentioned the defensive line. Well, those guys, for the most part, aside from Hunter Osborne, for the most part, the guys that they got on the defensive line, and I'll include the jack position there too, aside from Stephen Souls, they got guys that should be coming into their own, guys that were very highly recruited but haven't hit an age where they should make a big impact. As our guy, Razorback in NYC, does a lot of the analytical stuff, and he breaks it down to where defensive linemen don't start making, or at least, reaching a level where they make an impact until 2.57 years in college. So Arkansas went and got a bunch of guys that were really highly recruited, but haven't made that impact yet because they're just now entering their, second or third year. Except for Osborne, who will be in his fourth year. He'll be a redshirt junior this year. And he obviously contributed a big way for Virginia last year after transferring there from Alabama. So it takes money. It takes money. A whole lot of spending money. Go Hogs fan goes on to say we may even have to get way outside the box and think about things like reducing non-revenue and reallocating those dollars. The bottom line is we seem to be pretty close to our usual pace related to conference. I think they did a better job. I'm not a big fan of transfer portal recruiting because of the way Arkansas has to go about it. And I'm not saying Arkansas has built this, roster that's in the upper half of the SEC and they're going to go out and win 9 games next year. I'm not saying that. But I don't know that it accurately reflects what they've built, and especially if you can consider, that they've got some younger guys, and you kind of build for the future, with what they brought in the transfer portal. I know that's kind of a foreign word in the transfer portal age, but you can recruit the transfer portal versus recruiting just high school. Like you can bring in guys who are in their redshirt freshman or sophomore year, and there's plenty of guys like that Arkansas did that with, kind of a mix of all of those things. So you don't really get credit in the transfer portal rankings for getting a guy that was the number 100 ranked overall prospect in the nation 2 years ago because he hasn't contributed yet on the college level. If he hasn't contributed yet, he's not going to be a 4-star transfer. And those are a lot of the guys that Arkansas went after. And that's one reason I think their portal ranking wasn't higher. I do think that they are dealing with a better situation than a lot of other schools out there in the SEC now. Now they are. Now, if you want to get into the upper echelon, if you want to be able to go out and just get guys who not only were highly ranked, but also have been productive in college already, guys that are coveted by a lot of places, and they got a few guys like that. But if you want to get like just one guy after another like Texas does, you probably need about $40 million to do so, to put it one guy after another like that. Arkansas also has to do a better job moving forward of retention. When you look at the last 3 classes, the number of players that have exited this program is borderline obscene. And yeah, they needed to get better players in, but a lot of these guys, every guy that they brought in, every guy that they processed and moved out are guys that Pittman and his staff brought in to the university who weren't good enough to play. Like there are, 8 to 10 guys leave and you're just like, that's not good. I wanted to keep that guy. most of the guys, I mean, we're talking about, sometimes 35 players leaving total. Most of those guys are players that were brought into the program that aren't cutting it, that aren't good enough to play. And those are guys that you evaluated and you brought into the program. Arkansas has to do a better job. Like, the formula can't be just, we need to bring in 35 new guys every year from the transfer portal. Like, under a year like this where you have a coaching change, okay. But moving forward, I would really like to see that number down to, something more reasonable, which, maybe like 20 guys or something, just a little bit more sustainable, where it's just not completely revamping the roster with, 60 players, that's just a lot. Natural State Sports says, Trey and Danny, when looking back at the last 6 classes, 2020, 2026, name the biggest I think you said, mean to say disappointment, and steal from each class. Very curious what y'all come up with. That might be hard to do right now. I could bring up football recruiting, commitments, biggest steal, biggest disappointment. And we'll have to go back to, we can't do 2026, so we'll go back to last year's class, 2025. Aren't you loading? 2025 class, biggest disappointment. Tavian Wallace isn't here anymore. Madni Amaliaba isn't here anymore. Those are the two highest ranked guys that they got. Kevin Otis, he's not here anymore. Grayson Wilson, gone. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4. Top 4 highest ranked recruits last year, all gone. Reginald Vaughn's back, but Jacaden Ferguson's gone. So I would say with last year's class, overall, the disappointment to me is that those guys are all gone. Scott Starsick also gone. The biggest, pleasant surprise, I guess, would have been J.J. Shelton, who saw the field as he was kind of a upper mid-range 3-star recruit. Not somebody you would say, like, this guy's going to play as a true freshman, but he's gone. Blake Cherry played for him last year, a guy that a lot of people talked about, going to make a big impact. Gone. Quentin Murphy gone, didn't even make it to the season last year. Cash Courtney would be another guy that's a positive who is still here. LJ Prudhomme, a guy they really like, gone. There's a lot of gone. A lot. So last year's class is definitely, that's a tough one. You go back to 2024. So far, I think Charlie Collins has a future, but so far he has not lived up to a guy ranked the number 65 prospect in the entire country. So you'd have to say he's been a disappointment so far, but I still think he's got a chance. Selman Bridges definitely hasn't lived up to the 119 prospect in the country. These are your top 2 recruits in that class. Bradley Shaw has lived up. He's been good. 192 prospect in the class. KJ Jackson, he's done the things that would, Braylon Russell. There's some guys. I'm trying to find somebody who you'd say, Tevis Metcalf, I think, ended up being a guy that was better than what he was ranked as. So with C.J. Brown, Tevis Metcalf is gone. C.J. Brown's still here. Wyatt Simmons, although we all had high hopes for Wyatt Simmons. So how about Kobe Branham? Kobe Branham was the third from the bottom ranked recruit in the class, and ends up starting as a redshirt freshman. So you got to give some props out to Kobe Branham. Obviously, Jalen Braxton, Quincy Rhodes, Luke Haas, even Isaiah Augustov were all, they were all promising players. None of them are here anymore except for Quincy. Shamar Easter would definitely go down as a disappointment. He was a 4-star recruit that just, from the beginning, you just never felt like this guy was, going to make a big impact. As far as pleasant surprises, Brad Spence was a pleasant surprise that year. Of course, he's at Texas now. But he was a bottom, mid 3-star recruit. But you'd have to say Brad Spence. Yeah, Brad Spence. No question. 2022 class. This is fun. Isaiah Satania, Patrick Kudus, Andrew Chamblee, you'd probably call. He was definitely not the number 204 ranked prospect in the country. Bakke, I thought, had a chance. Sam Bakke. Manny Powell was a disappointment. Didn't really pan out at Arkansas. Who's down here at the bottom? Who would go in the positive category? No, it looks like they nailed Ty Washington, even though Ty Washington was dismissed from the team. But he was kind of near the bottom. Nico Dabier, who's no longer with the team. Quincy McAdoo was definitely a pleasant surprise. He wasn't ranked as a guy that you would say, like, this guy's going to end up starting here. So, all right, let's go do one more class. We'll do 2021. Last class. AJ Green definitely did not live up to being the number 114 overall prospect in the country and Arkansas's top recruit, Keyshawn Jackson. Keytron ended up transferring. I don't even know what Keytron ended up doing, but he was a promising wide receiver. You guys remember Keytron? Ended up at Baylor. What did he end up doing? Keytron Jackson stats. Let's see what he ended up doing. He was the Raiders. Stats. He didn't do much anything. 28 catches for 489 yards in 2023, 12 catches for 236 yards in 2024. But, yeah, Keytron, AJ, Raheem Sanders obviously lived up. Terry Wells, injuries, back injuries, I think, with Terry, never really got going. And who, you'd have to say maybe Jaden Wilson ended up starting for Arkansas as a mid-range 3-star. Man, Devon Manuel ended up starting. He was a pretty low rank. He ended up transferring to Florida. Chris Paul, we'll go Chris Paul, transferred to Ole Miss, but, he started for Arkansas, was a very mid-range 3-star type of recruit. So it's underwhelming overall, isn't it? It is not like there's not a lot of pop when mentioning some of these names. Some of these guys are still on campus and have a chance to make an impact. Okay, what else we got? Who's the next DL coach? That's still fresh. Disappointing to lose Hobby, but I'm not sure exactly where they go from here. Hopefully we'll find out something soon. We did Pittsburgh Squealers question. Is there an update on Malik Ewing? Yeah, we also need, he has 4 stitches. So how long does it recover from stitches? I think Ewing will be fine. They should release the report. On your face, a typical removal timeline for stitches is 4 to 5 days. So that was Tuesday. So he could be okay. You can still do stuff with stitches, right? It's not like it's on your knee, you're just going to keep injuring it. On your scalp, it's 7 to 10 days. Chest, back, abdomen, arms, 7 to 10. Hands, feet, joints, knees, elbows, 10 to 14. So keep it dry. I think he'll probably play. They need him, obviously. But we should see the injury report. Would that be today or tomorrow? When do they do basketball injury report? Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to mention one more time about Back Nine Golf. Back Nine Golf in Fayetteville just opened. There are 4 hitting bays there. They've got the full swing simulators. These are like $60,000 setups. These are legit, real deal setups. They've got several different membership plans, so you can sign up a monthly fee or you can pay for the year, but they range from $159 for the par membership. The thing that I think is the best deal is if you got a buddy, you split the Eagle. The Eagle is $325 total, so you split that. You get 3-hour tee times. You can bring up to 4 guests. You can have 2 active bookings, so you can look on there and be like, oh, there's a spot open. I'm going to get that real quick. While you also hold the one for the basketball game. You want to play golf and watch the basketball game. You got that one held. So a lot of different deals. You can book a free demo. You can go check it out. But if you're into golf, I would highly recommend doing this. I've been up there probably 12, 13 times now. I might try to get up there today. You might see me up there today. So go check them out. It's in Fayetteville. It's right over. It's on Crossover, right by that right on College Avenue, right by that CrossFit. That's where I got mixed up. There's a car wash right over there. Ash is right there. But it's kind of tucked in behind there. But go check them out. Back Nine Golf. Tell them Trey Biddy sent you. But join today. They are open now. So, all right. Appreciate Connor Goodson hopping on, Danny West, Kevin Bohannon, and appreciate all of you guys. I'm not sure why it didn't tweet out our show. That ain't cool. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.